Joyride 1957, Chapter 20. James rubbed his eyes as the sun shone in his room the next morning at the Crane Motel in Havner, Oklahoma. He looked at his watch, a gold Rolex President, and saw it was 10 o'clock. He got into Havner very late and got the last motel room in the town. He quickly got up, shaved, showered, and headed out the door to get breakfast at a local restaurant. He did not notice Jeff dozing in the murky Montclair Sun Valley on the other side of the lot. Jeff was not able to secure a room, so slept in his car. He had put in a call to Ross earlier from a payphone and was instructed to follow James from a distance. What James did notice was a bright red 1957 Thunderbird parked next to his DeVille. It had a white top with opera windows and Virginia license plates. The plate read TWINS, Twins. As he chewed down his breakfast steak and eggs and began to work on a huge cinnamon roll, he noticed two tall, skinny blondes gabbing away in a booth across from him in the restaurant. They were both in red shorts and white tops. He couldn't tell them apart by their faces or figures, but curiously, one had very short hair and one had long, flowing locks. As he ate, Jeff, who James did not know, came in and sat at the counter. He ordered a catfish dinner. The waitress said dinner did not begin until 10:30. He laid a $20 bill on the counter and she immediately said she could make an exception. In another minute, a tall gentleman in a gray suit walked in, took a booth next to the blondes, and ordered a Denver omelet using a heavy accent. 1 minute later, a Catholic priest with graying temples came in and also took a seat at the counter. He ordered only coffee. James' wheels were turning by now. He reviewed his little tour in his head. He had survived the flyby of a moose in Maine, a gunshot in Rhode Island, and a roll in the hay with a big blonde maid. His agenda was clear in his own mind, but he was beginning to realize that if not being followed, he was very likely being watched. He didn't know by who or why, but he vowed not to deviate from his plan and be more observant of his surroundings. His ability to focus was well known by his friends and family, but he decided he better check things out every few hours. Something about one of the blondes struck a chord in his memory, but he could not delineate if and when he had seen her before. But he made a note that he would very much like to see her in her twin again. He washed down the rest of the cinnamon roll with another glass bottle of Coca-Cola, put down $3 on the table, and walked out to his car. To his surprise and relief, his DeVille was still there. He got in and drove the mile up to the site of the Havner runestone. The site was not well known, but James decided he needed to see all the runestones he could possibly find. He had not noticed the red and white Thunderbird, the yellow and white Sun Valley, and the silver Mercedes SL following him. James parked the DeVille, grabbed his case, and walked the short trail to the runestone. His hands were shaking as he came up to the stone. It was at least 12 feet wide and 12 feet high, gray-brown in color, and immediately he could see the runes. His research told him that there were 8 runes or letters on the rock, and the translation was GLOMEDAL, glow metal, or GNOMEDAL, no metal. He was fascinated as he ran his shaking hand over the rock and the runes. He stared for a long time at the runestone and then the surrounding terrain. It was beautiful. There was an outcropping graced by a little waterfall. He sat down and stared for a long time at the runes and the area. Tried to soak it all in. He pulled out his book and drew pictures of the scene and traced each of the runes on a piece of paper, 8 in all. He read in his book the translation, GLOME Valley, or GNOME Valley. He pulled out his papers with rune alphabets on them and compared them to the runes on the rock. For about 15 minutes he concluded that the information he had was correct. The rune here in Havner, Oklahoma did read GLOME Valley, or GNOME Valley. It had been discovered here on Poto Mountain, a part of the Ouachita Mountain Range in 1923. He then pulled out his own two little rocks, the one with the L and the one with the OS on it. What he failed to notice was the 4 pairs of binoculars also viewing him. What he would have been very happy about was that none of the 4 pairs had any idea how to read the runes on his 2 stones. Finally he put them back in his case, went up to the stone and ran his hands over it for another minute. Finally satisfied, he turned and headed for his DeVille. A smile came to his face as he climbed behind the smooth wheel, hot-wired it, grabbed the 2 black areas of the otherwise ivory wheel, and drove out the parking lot. He did notice the red T-Bird parked near his DeVille in the lot, but was disappointed not to see any blondes inside. As he was driving out of the lot, he realized he was sitting on something hard. He reached under his leg and pulled up a square chrome buckle. He pulled over and searched for the other end of the seat belt, an option on this fully optioned Coupe de Ville. He buckled the seat belt around his waist, cinched it firmly. He surmised he might need protection of the belt based on how his trip had been going to this point. But the wide smile returned to his face as he eased the Cadillac up to 60 miles an hour on Highway 59 north.